Looking to learn the history of Herky the Hawk? We've got you covered.
But first, you'll be seeing more bread gardens in the near future.
We'll take a look at one player on the Iowa defense making a name for himself in only his second year on campus.
Sunny skies and hot temperatures for this weekend's game. Stay tuned for weather.
All that and more coming up on this Thursday morning edition of DITV.
Don't go anywhere. DITV starts right now.
Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Mackenzie Cooper.
And I'm Bo Bowman.
The University Hospital and Clinics have announced that bread gardening will be replacing 4 Java House locations in its buildings, ending their 14-year partnership. Bread garden locations will be added into the General Hospital, Carver Pavilion, Pomeranz Family Pavilion, and Stead Family Children's Hospital. The decision was made in order to generate greater revenue for the UIHC. Conversions will begin November 1st when Bread Garden's contract starts, marking the last day for the 4 Java houses.
The State of Iowa Board of Regents Committee met yesterday. The University of Iowa commanded plenty of attention at the meeting, and we have Daily Iowan Managing Editor Marissa Payne in the newsroom to tell us more. Good morning, Marissa.
Good morning, Bo.
Provost Sue Curry seemed concerned with the closure of the Labor Center. Can you kind of tell us what she told the Board of Regents?
Yeah, UI Provost Sue Curry proposed the UI's request to approve 5 center closures yesterday at the Board of Regents Academic Affairs Committee meeting. The centers requested are Center on Aging, Confucius Institute, Institute of Public Affairs, Iowa Center for Assistive Technology and Research, and the Labor Center.
And then I have here that Bruce Harold also talked to them and made comments about the university's outstanding debt to the Children's Hospital. What did he say?
UI President Bruce Harold defended the UI on Wednesday against a district court judge's recent ruling that the UI should pay about $17 million of a $21.5 million award. An arbitration panel has granted modern piping in the construction of the UI Stead Family Children's Hospital. The Cedar Rapids Gazette has reported extensively on the project's blown budgets and mid-project change orders, one of those changes being the change to its circular design that we know today.
And those were the concerns brought up by the UI, but what did the other state schools have to say at the meeting?
Not so much at yesterday's committee meetings, but today the regents will be reviewing their request to increase appropriations by about $20 million, with $18 million going toward undergraduate financial aid.
Perfect, and we'll have more for that for the viewers at home tomorrow. Marissa, thank you for your time. For more coverage of this story, visit daily-iowan.com.
The University of Iowa student government and other organizations are hard at work at solving the problem of low student voter turnouts in city elections. Their aim? To assist students in registering for elections. One possible solution, bringing candidates on campus for forums. Iowa City will be holding the final city council elections on October 2nd between Ann Ferricks and Bruce Teague.
Well, Iowa City's been lucky with the weather we've had the past couple days, but on the East Coast, not so much.
No, I know Hurricane Florence is expected to make it landfall today, so let's toss it over to Dylan in the weather studio with more. Dylan?
Thanks, Bo and Mackenzie. I gotta say, I've been very happy that there has been no rain this past week. As we look onto today's forecast, we will see sunny skies this morning with a temperature of 65 degrees. And then later in the afternoon and into the evening, there will be partly cloudy skies, but with an even hotter temperature of 79 degrees. Now, although Iowa City hasn't seen any storms for the last week, the East Coast has definitely seen their fair share. Hurricane Florence is currently a Category 3 hurricane with winds up to 120 miles per hour. Currently, Florence is moving steadily towards the coastal areas of North and South Carolina. Now, due to this danger, many college football games scheduled for this weekend in these states have been canceled. Now, as we head into our extended 5-day forecast, we will see that tomorrow brings partly cloudy weather with a high of 85 and a low of 65 degrees. Get ready for a hot game day, as Saturday's weather includes a high of 86 and a low of 61 with mostly sunny skies. Sunday, it will again be mostly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 65. Now, as the school and work week begins on Monday, it will be sunny with a high of 87 and a low of 65. Finally, on Tuesday, the temperature will drop a little bit, as it will be partly cloudy with a high of 83 and a low of 58. Well, luckily, it looks like Iowa football will not be canceled this weekend, unlike those other games. So we will all be there for a warm evening victory in Kinnick for the Hawks. Bo and Mackenzie, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Dylan. Well, if you're looking to beat the heat, we have DITV reporter Caitlin Cluck in the newsroom with the perfect ways to avoid those summer temperatures this September. Caitlin?
Yes, September is always an interesting month for movies as we're seeing the industry shift out of summer blockbuster mode and into its more diverse fall roster that includes more dramas and thrillers. So, what's playing in Iowa City this weekend? I have a quick rundown of what's showing at the IMU, Sycamore Cinema, and Film Scene. Check it out. Starting over at Film Scene on the Pedestrian Mall, they have buzzed about dark comedy Sorry to Bother You playing every day. Their daily showings also include documentary 3 Identical Strangers, which tells the shocking true story of identical triplets separated at birth. There's also drama The Wife, starring Glenn Close. Then on Saturday night, the Bijou Film Board will have a special late screening of the 1999 drama Girl, Interrupted. University of Iowa students with a valid student ID will be able to get in for free. Over at the Iowa Memorial Union, Campus Activities Board is hosting their weekly $3 movie event for students. This weekend, they're showing action thriller Sicario 2 and heist comedy Ocean's 8. At Marcus Sycamore Cinema, there's a few new wide-release films opening this weekend. First up is A Simple Favor, a suspense thriller starring Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. Horror science fiction film The Predator will also arrive on screens. For fans of drama, there's the historical film Unbroken, Path to Redemption, and the grittier White Boy Rick. However, if you're looking for something a little more familiar, Sycamore Cinema is also showing a Harry Potter film every weekend this fall. This Saturday and Sunday, it's The Chamber of Secrets. And as you can see, this town loves its older movies just as much as newer releases. So happy weekend and happy movie going. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Kaylin. Herky the Hawk is celebrating his 70th birthday this year. In order to celebrate the history of the UI mascot, DITV reporter Kennedy Cook takes us to the latest exhibit hosted by the university's special collections.
Hatching Herky, celebrating 70 years of Herky the Hawk, takes a look at the long-standing history that Herky has held here at the University of Iowa. The hunt for our beloved Herky started in 1948 as a contest to find the perfect mascot to represent the university. Richard Spencer, an instructor in journalism at the university, was the first to sketch out the original Herky. The exhibit explores the last 70 years of Herky, from his design dating back to the 40s to who he is now. The exhibit can be found on the 3rd floor of the main library and university archives. These archives often highlight vital parts of the University of Iowa's history, and thus it was extremely important to showcase Herky's legacy.
So I think Herky is just a staple here at the University of Iowa, and we wanted to celebrate him as well. And he is a big part of University Archives. So part of University Archives is celebrating the university by collecting all of this information about the university at large. And so Herky is a big part of that, and we wanted to showcase it.
Herky not only serves as a staple figure to the university, but he is constantly building community both on and off campus.
So Herky is amazing because when you think of the University of Iowa, you know Herky. And I think he's more than a mascot to the university now. He goes out and he visits community centers, he's going to the Children's Hospital, so he's more than a mascot, he's a community figure that we can all rally behind.
Reporting from the University of Iowa Library, Kennedy Cook, DITV News.
Well, Bo, the Hawkeyes looked pretty good against Iowa State this past weekend, but especially their defense.
That's right, one of the top defenses in the country right now. I'll have more on that later in the sports segment, but for now, let's toss it over to Taylor to find out more.
Thanks, guys. Let's talk more about that defense. Earlier this week, Iowa football's A.J. Epinesa was named as one of the Big Ten Defensive Players of the Week after his career-high 5 tackles and 2 sacks. DITV Sports Director Bo Bowman is in our Big Board studio with more on the sophomore stud. Bo?
Iowa football's defensive line has already proven to be one of the scariest units on the field this year. They held Iowa State star running back David Montgomery to only 44 rushing yards, and the star of the show, A.J. Epinesa. The sophomore stands at 6'7" and 277 pounds and is wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks. Already recording 3 sacks on the year, he's also demonstrated his perfection of the rare art of the strip sack. Let's take a look at a couple of his highlights. Here he is at the bottom of the screen, and he just dominates the tackle here, showing off his strength and actually reaches through him to get to the quarterback to knock the ball loose and cause that turnover. But now, more than strength, the big man's got wheels too. Here he is now against NIU, again at the bottom of the screen. Coming off the edge, he burns that tackle on this one, and the poor quarterback stands no chance. Strip sack again for Epinesa, so it's obvious Epinesa and this defense could be something special, allowing only 5 points per game so far and leading the country in almost all defensive categories. And keep in mind, this isn't coming out of nowhere either. Epinesa has had 4.5 sacks last year, and he was one of the most recruited defensive linemen in the country coming out of high school. So he's definitely improving and has the potential to be one of Kirk Ferentz' best products yet.
DITV Sports Director Bo Bowman in the Big Board studio. Thank you. And we have the Daily Iowan pregame editor Adam Hensley live in the newsroom. Now, Adam, apart from Epinesa, where else is this Hawkeye defense strong?
Yeah, so along with Epinesa, Iowa's whole defensive line has really lived up to that preseason hype. They've been Iowa's strongest group defensively this season. But last week against Iowa State, one of the things that stood out to me was Iowa's cornerbacks and their support in the run game. Michael Ojemudia and Matt Hankins really look strong supporting the run, containing that edge, and pushing things inside. And that all just goes to help out Iowa's linebackers, who are relatively inexperienced this season.
That's right, and the linebackers were a big question mark heading into this season. How have they performed?
Yeah, so as much inexperience as that group has, they've also been pretty much a pleasant surprise. Jaimon Colbert, he stepped up for Christian Welch last week when he was injured, and he's also listed as a starter this week against Northern Iowa. Meanwhile, Jack Hockaday has pretty much cemented himself as that guy in the middle linebacker position. But I think out of the whole group, the guy you want to keep your eye on is Nick Niemann. He's got that unique blend of size, skill. It's everything you want out of a linebacker coming off the edge, and he's a guy that keeps offensive coordinators up at night trying to figure out how to scheme against him.
Now, finally, how do you expect this defense to play against UNI this weekend?
I expect another strong defensive performance from Iowa. Maybe not as strong as we saw against Iowa State, but I think a pretty strong performance nevertheless. I think the main question, though, is going to be whether or not Iowa's offense can match the defense's production on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's Adam Hensley live in the newsroom. Thank you. We'll have more on Iowa's destructive defense tomorrow on DITV's pregame show with Bo Bowman and Lucy Rodine.
That's all we have for you on this Thursday morning edition of DITV.
Be sure to head over to daily-iowan.com for all your latest news every day of the week.
And if that isn't enough of the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition on the news on stands now.
For DITV, I'm Bo Bowman.
And I'm Mackenzie Cooper. Have a great day, Iowa City.
And we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.